Test, test. All right, welcome and good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, June the 18th, 2025. It is 10 a.m. and this is the Josephine County Board of Commissioners meeting for our weekly business session. We will start this morning's meeting off with an invocation followed by a Pledge of Allegiance. And this morning we have Kip Bradford to give us the invocation.
Good morning. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy as members of this great country. And Lord, as we come together, we recognize the diversity in this room, that we all have things to say and things on our heart. And we pray that each one of us would speak well, and more importantly, that each one of us would listen well. We thank you and we ask for your wisdom in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. All right, we'll start this meeting with agenda item number 1 is calling the meeting to order. Number 2, declaration of potential conflict of interest. This is an opportunity for the commissioners to declare so if they choose. Commissioner Smith?
I've reviewed the agenda. I see no conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnett?
I've reviewed also the agenda and I do not see any conflicts of interest.
Thank you. And I as well do not see any. However, I am a citizen of Josephine County and it looks like almost all of these agenda items touch me tangentially, just like they do a majority of the residents of Josephine County. All right, thank you. So we'll start now with the public hearing. This is the matter of annexation of the Josephine County to the Josephine County Community Library District by petition of landowner without election. And we will start this hearing now at 10:02. And this is order number 2025050 with petitioner Cavallini, Dodet, Revocable Trust, Jane X, assessor number 36071300001701-00 3.02 acres, and order number 2025051, Smith Revocable Trust, Michael P. and Diane R., assessor map number 35063400000220-00, and that is 10.01 acres. Now we'll have the opportunity to give testimony. This is 3 minutes to speak to this matter and this matter only. Is there anyone here this morning that would like to speak? Okay, I don't see anyone that would like to speak to this. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve order number 2025050.
I'll make that motion to approve order 2025-050.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have a motion and second. Would there any discussion?
No.
None.
Okay, please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Blech?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Next, I would entertain a motion to approve order number 2025-051.
I'll make a motion as stated.
Thank you, and I will second that. Any discussion?
No.
None.
Okay, please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Blech?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will close this hearing at 10:04 a.m. Next up is a public hearing. This is Josephine County Board Josephine County Rural Fire Protection District for fiscal year 2025 to 2026. And we will open that public hearing right now at 10:04. And we are now convening as the governing body of the Josephine County Rural Protection Fire District. We will deliberate on this fire district budget. Before we do that, we'll have an opportunity for testimony. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak and to speak on this budget item only. Who would like to speak this morning? Okay, seeing none, bring it back to the board. Any discussion?
No?
No discussion.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on with the agenda. Right, just to confirm, we're convening as the governing body of the Josephine County Rural Protection Fire District. And this is for the approval of resolution number 2025024 in the matter of adoption of the 2025-26 budget and making appropriations for the Josephine County Rural Fire Protection District. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-024.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-204.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion second, and just for clarification, I believe Commissioner Smith, you said 2025-204. I want to confirm you meant 024. Okay, thank you. We have a motion and second. Any discussion?
No?
None.
All right, please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Burnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Blech?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. We will now close this public hearing at 10:06. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing for Josephine County 4-H Extension Service District for fiscal year 2025-2026. We will open this hearing now at 10:06. And we are now convening as the governing body of the Josephine County 4-H Extension District. We will now deliberate on this district budget. Right now, we'll have an opportunity for testimony where each person will be given 3 minutes to speak on this budget item and this budget item only. Who would like to speak to this morning? In the back against the wall.
I'm Terry Ryder. I'm a resident of Grants Pass. This isn't clear what this covers exactly. When the budget committee met, it was they voted on 2 issues. One was the budget as proposed by extension. The second was reinstating the tax. I can't tell from this what you're doing. I would urge you to do both of those things. Just having the budget doesn't do anything without the backup cash. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak this morning to this subject only? Against the back wall there with the green shirt?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Goodwin, Josephine County. I agree with the last speaker. It's a little bit unclear if the funding will be restored. And I just wanted to give my 2 cents as one citizen. When the 4-H district was unfunded a couple years ago, a vote of 2-1 by the commissioners. The reason was the vote that was taken in, I believe, the late 90s. I don't have the date in front of me. I wasn't planning on speaking to this. But a solid margin that said take a few cents per thousand out of our property taxes. Now, each year when you have a tax district, the governing body has the ability to set the rate up to whatever was voted on by the people. For instance, the jail and juvenile detention levy at 93 cents, you could come in and say any number up to that amount. You could say 0 for that. Because of a loophole in the law that allows you to go down, there's a very good reason for that. Let's say a windfall came into the county and you had a bunch of money you weren't planning on. Let's lower the burden on the voter. Even though they voted for this amount of money, we can say, we're going to take less this year. The reason that the 2-1 vote voted that way is that they thought people now don't believe what they believed when they voted for this back in the 90s. They both even agreed that this should maybe go back on the ballot. What I would recommend is if it went on the ballot this November and the people today in 2025 said, no, we don't want to take a few cents per thousand to fund 4-H, then don't fund it. My recommendation would be go back to what we voted on back in the 90s, fund this thing. If you're convinced, as the last board was, that we no longer want it as citizens, put it back on the ballot, or even an advisory question on the ballot that's non-binding, but you get the will of the people that way. Do we still want our tax, a few cents of tax, property tax dollars going to this program? I would just recommend that as one citizen. It was the vote of the people, and it was basically overturned by the Board of Commissioners, and let's restore that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Against the back wall there.
Good morning, Judy Aarons, resident of Josephine County. Not that familiar with this issue. I keep more intact with the educational issues, but I do recall last year, I believe, I think there was, and this, I don't know if this is in context or not, but I'm going to bring it up anyway, with the concerns about what money is not going to the 4-H department. I grew up as a 4-H'er and I loved it. I loved 4-H and all the things I did in it, and my brothers too. But I think last year, the concern was when you had a discussion on it, it had to do where the budget money was going. I think that looked like a concern. And I think you had in front of you, if I recall, that most of the money wasn't going to the 4-H'ers per se. Correct me if I'm wrong when I sit down, or somebody else can correct me. But it seemed like when you had the budget in front of you, most of it was going to the administration. And I think that was a concern, as I recall, because I go to a lot of these meetings, if my recollection is correct, is that a lot of money was going to the administration. When I grew up, it went to the 4-H'ers and all the things they did out the fair and everything. And it's still a wonderful, wonderful organization. And I recommend it to any family to get their kids involved. Thanks.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this morning? Yes, sir, in the orange shirt.
Good morning. My name is Trent Toker. I'm from right here in Grants Pass, citizen of Josephine County. From the last meeting where this got approved, there has been quite a bit of hope with a big chunk of this community. And it's made us feel really good, and it's given us a little bit of hope and some positivity that we could, as a group, with you guys included, that we were going to bring this back. Oregon State has submitted multiple budgets explaining where the money has gone over the last 2 years. And it's been pretty cut and dry where these things have gone and what they've gone to. And that's the kids and that's the community here in Josephine County. With the proposed budget moving forward, like, yes, there's a ton of rebuilding, and a lot of that stuff's going to go right back here into this county. I met with one of you in March and kind of sat down and talked to you about, what can I do? How do I make a difference? And the encouragement you had for me was to show up to these meetings, get involved, reach out to local authorities, reach out to people who are involved with this program, reach out to you guys, show up to these weekly business sessions, and actually attempt to make a difference. And since then, I've gone to a number of things that surround this issue right at its core. And I couldn't be happier to follow that advice you gave me to show up and be a part of something that's bigger. And I think that this extension service coming back to Grants Pass, coming back to Josephine County, and hitting everything from Takilma to Wolf Creek is a massive opportunity and a positive that we can have moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak? Yes, in the second row here.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Georgia Moulton, and I live out in the Wilderville area. I was a master gardener between 2017 and 2024, and I worked primarily in the plant clinic where we helped home gardeners solve gardening problems. And I also served as the president of the Josephine County Master Gardeners Association for 2 years. I'm aware that the funding for the Extension Service is a three-legged stool, so to speak. There's the county funding, the state funding, and the federal funding. And the county funding is that one small levy that was passed in 1996. It is required that we collect that money and utilize it for the administrative part of the Extension Services work. in order for us then to get the state and federal funds. Now, those monies don't come out of the trees. They are actually our tax dollars that we've long since paid in, which are coming back. And because we canceled the levy last year, we've lost approximately $750,000 in those tax monies coming back to us. And the Extension Service has been here for 108 years and have touched thousands and thousands of Josephine County kids and farmers and gardeners, and it would be a shame to cancel it now. So I encourage you to renew the levy and approve the budget as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this morning? Yes, here in the front row.
Berg, Josephine County. Thank you for getting us through a couple of the hurdles. This is our last hurdle today. Just so everybody understands how little of an impact I feel that this has, this tax levy, which we also need to pass today. A $400,000 property would only pay $1836 per year. What's that? A family of four, not even 4 Dutch Bros. That's once a year. Extension is more than just 4-H. It's also our master gardeners. It's our master food preservers. There's an economic development component. There are so many opportunities if we were to get a decent advisory board to see what our community wants, that it can be catered specifically to our needs. So I thank you for the time you've taken to learn about Extension and what it can do for our community. And like Trent and a few others here, very optimistic and hopeful for where we can go in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else this morning? Second row here.
Colleen Hoffman in Josephine County. I've been a 4-H volunteer for 41 years. I've never brainwashed a child. 4-H is not just livestock. I belong to a small animal club. We had 9 projects and only 3 involved small animals. The children in Grants Pass proper cannot raise livestock. They don't have a program like we offer. And we offer life skills like sewing and cooking that some of the schools don't even carry anymore. So I'd like to ask you, please give the funding back to the Extension Office. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak this morning to this matter? Going once? All right, in the blue blouse. Green.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Kirk, and I've been a resident of Josephine County since 1997 and retired in 2023. The work I have done in Josephine County was around community development, health education, and nutrition education. And I kind of want to echo what Deb said and what a couple other people said here, is that extension, the funding for extension is the floor of creating a program. There's a ceiling that goes way up there. This last weekend, I met my daughter in Roseburg at the community gardens that are the demonstration gardens sponsored by the Master Gardeners. So there are infinite opportunities to enhance the quality of life in our community, the quality of life for volunteers, and the health of our citizens from children all the way up to senior citizens through funding extension. And you don't need to look just in Josephine County, look across Oregon and across the US for examples. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this morning? Right here in the second row.
My name's Adelina. I was in 4-H for 1 year before I was taken away. When I was in 4-H, I learned to be confident, not shy, and to be a leader. I also learned about multiple animals and how to take care of them. I learned the importance of serving our community and got to serve the veterans. The other kids in my group were like family to me. I even got to display my artwork at fair, and I went to state fair. That was pretty cool. Please bring 4-H back, not just for me, but for all the other kids. Thank you for your time and listening to me.
Thank you. Right, would anyone else like to speak? Okay, seeing none, bring it back to the board. We have a motion here, or correction,
We
a
deliberated?
resolution.
We
yeah.
deliberated a little?
Yes, absolutely. So I know we have a resolution here, and I know there's two components to it. So I want to make sure that we address both components of that. Those are the collection of the levy and spending of the levy, for lack of a simpler way to describe it. So I'll open it up to my fellow commissioners now for deliberation or discussion. Commissioner Barnett?
Yes. I just want to let everybody know that I've been working really hard trying to work with OSU and the Extension Office to find out what happened. As you know, the funds were frozen. There were some problems, and those problems were realistic. And coming into this office brand new, met with the players, did discussions, trying to see what was broke, can we fix it? Remember, this whole levy was done in 1996 and was for the 4-H program. Our agricultural community has diversed. There are so many other options now for the agricultural community in our county, which includes 4-H extension, youth and ag, FFA. There's so many. I'm all for the agricultural community. OSU has done a great job of convincing me that they're going to bring back this program in the best way possible for the taxpayers. I was kind of disgusted last year watching from the outside looking in and what happened and the division it created. We all know what happened. And the budget got frozen from the prior board. And there was a reasoning why they did that. I don't want a repeat of that, so I've reached out to OSU. I've had conference calls. One of them is in the room, two of them are in the room today. And I even got a letter back stating that we're gonna go in a right direction and make sure we don't repeat yesterday. Remember, you take something away, you have to gradually give it back and make sure they're gonna be good stewards of the program and your taxpayer dollars. And that's what I think we all want. It's all about the kids. It's not about us. It's about the kids and the growth and the things that we can do in this community. So some of the promises or some of the things that OSU has committed to is an intergovernmental agreement or service agreement with the county commissioner support in identifying a long-term office location, memorandum of agreement with the fairgrounds and related partner programs, 4-H OSU participation in fair board and fair-related meetings. The 4-H Association advises on the 4-H program per the bylaws. They also requested a county commissioner liaison. Typically one is appointed, and I volunteered to say, hey, I would like to be on that board as a liaison. Regular meetings with a liaison or designated representative from the commissioners to ensure responsibility and proactive communication. What happened before was a breakdown of communication and some things got broken. We all know it. I don't want to see that ever happen again. Also, we're going to form an advisory committee for the OSU Extension Josephine County to provide input on operations and how to scale up the process. As you know, when you reintegrate a program back in, it has to start all over. Start small. You don't go big right away. You start small and ease back into the program. So that's what we'd like to do. I just want everybody to know here and my colleagues to know that this was a very painful thing coming into office and hearing I've heard it. I've heard it from everybody, trust me. It is a program that I think people definitely want. However, there are a lot of citizens in this county do not want a repeat of what happened. Adults not getting along. I think the kids get along great. I think we had problems with the adults. and some people managing a program that maybe weren't communicating with everybody directly. So going with that, I just want to say as we make these decisions, I'm all for giving the money back and starting this program back up, but you have to ease into it. Ease into it, fix problems that come along the way, and make the program successful. I just want to let my colleagues know that these meetings have been fruitful. I just believe that we have two things on the table. One, releasing the funds. We have funds. We have funds to get this going right now. And then we have the taxation piece. And I know that if we do the taxes right away, it's going to be $1.18 million to the taxpayers. It's just going to sit in an account. I don't know if this is the time to reinstate the levy tax at this cycle. It can be reinstated, absolutely. But I'd like to see how the program works. I'd like to see how we integrate this back in, commissioners. And I'm all for the program. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Barnett. Commissioner Smith, do you have any comments or discussion that you'd like to lead?
No, I really don't. I really feel that the people of Josephine County want the program back. There's overwhelming support for it. A letter from the Farm Bureau, which I'm a member of, encouraged us to reinstate OSU Extension simply because they're so valuable to the farming community. And I'm a big believer in anybody that produces from the ground, because producing from the ground is what rural communities do to survive. That's what we need to do more of it. So I'm all for anything that helps our producers produce more, because that's our lifeblood for this county, is producing from the ground. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. It sounds like to me that Commissioner Barnett, you have two concerns that you're wanting to bifurcate, possibly. Could you reiterate that and possibly put that into a motion so that we can have the resolution reflect that accordingly?
Yes. So again, I'm all for releasing the funds as noted. I think we approved that. That was a recommendation, and that was the ask. I move to approve resolution number 2025-025, the matter of adoption of the 2025-26 budget and making appropriations for the Josephine County 4-H Extension Service District with the following amendment: to levy 0 cents per thousand of assessed value and reduce the unappropriated ending fund balance by $435,000 due to not collecting taxes.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second, and for the record, Commissioner Burnett, could you restate that? I wasn't able to write that down quick enough.
Yes, you want me to read the whole thing over?
Just after your...
The amendment?
Yes, please.
To levy 0 cents per thousand of assessed value and reduce the unappropriated ending fund balance by $435,000 due to not collecting taxes. We do have a reserve.
Okay, does that include...
No, take that out.
Does that mean that the budget will be funded for 4-H with that difference? Is that what you're proposing?
Yes, we have a reserve fund.
Okay.
So we have a reserve fund to go probably 1.5 years. Per our budget officer, is that correct,
Yes.
Ruth?
Could you help us?
I know it gets a little confusing for everybody to know, but I want everybody to know that, you know, I'm all for funding the program, but what do we have, Ruth?
So the budget proposed by OSU actually did not include collecting taxes. So it was a appropriation of 230,000 and then reserve for future expenditure of 130,000 for their general fund. So your motion as stated wouldn't change that. It would just not collect the taxes, which were just going to go to fund balance. They weren't going to be used next fiscal year. So they just wouldn't start the next year with as big of a balance by $435,000 if the taxes aren't collected.
Okay, so the program will go as normal because
yes.
as proposed, it's just that they didn't ask for the levy to be reinstated. And we're trying to say, hey, look, let's get this program back started and we can always come to a budget meeting next year and revisit that, correct? Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. Next year you would reconsider.
Okay. And that'll give us time to see how the program launches off. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. All right. After that clarification, I want to confirm that Commissioner Smith, you still want to second that.
I want to understand how the program's going to get up and running as of today. I mean, so we're going to use that reserve fund for their operations. They will be back in business. And then we'll reauthorize that tax levy amount later.
We can do it at a future budget session, but this tax cycle, I didn't think it was prudent to tax the taxpayers 1.18 million just for a reserve balance when we already have a reserve balance. That's all. So they can fund and go as normal. We can revisit and gauge the progress. Give a report back to the taxpayers, and when we come here next year, then that can be back on the table to reinstate. No sense of taxing the taxpayers $1.18 million just to have it sit in the account, right? It'll just sit in the account, correct?
The estimated tax collected for next year would be 435,000, but in addition to what's already in the fund.
Okay.
The total budget that was recommended by the budget committee was 1.18 million.
Okay.
So by not levying the tax, it would be reducing the total budget by 435,000, which would come out of the fund balance.
Which would be appropriate for their ask to run the 4-H
It
program.
wouldn't affect the appropriation of 230,000.
Perfect. That's what I wanted the public to know, that they have the money in there to resume operations. Okay.
Thank you. Again, Commissioner Smith, does that make sense to you? Would you
Yeah,
like to?
I'll keep that second, provided the program gets up and running
Okay,
without the funding.
so we have a motion and second. Any discussion?
No, I just hope the program goes in a positive direction. Thank you for voicing your opinion. Thank you, young one here. I appreciate it. It's because of you that I really feel this program should come back. It's not about us adults. I saw so much fighting, okay? But I want you to have a good experience. And if we can integrate the 4-H program back for the community and extension for the betterment of Josephine County, I'm all for it. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, I really want to reiterate that OSU Extensions is far more than 4-H. And it's really those other programs I'm looking at. I really believe that 4-H and youth and ag can work together. And I believe competition is always better for the consumer. So those two competing for the children will make them both better. I believe that. So yes, I'm with that.
Okay, thank you for that. My comments are that I appreciate everybody coming out and your enthusiasm for 4-H and for the extension. I have to disclose that I've had many citizens out there come to me personally, and I feel that those comments from those citizens outweigh not only in argument, but also in quantity. And so I will be dissenting on this vote. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett,
Yes.
Commissioner Blech.
No.
Motion carries 2-1.
Thank you. And at this time, we will close the public hearing at 10:33. Next up, we have a public hearing for Josephine County Law Enforcement Service District for the fiscal year 2025 to 2026. We will now open that hearing at 10:33, and we are now convening as the body of the Josephine County Law Enforcement District. And this is for the resolution 2025-026 in the matter of adopting the budget 2025-26 and making appropriations for the Josephine County Law Enforcement Service District. We'll start off with testimony. Right now, each person will be given 3 minutes to speak on this budget item and this budget item only. Who would like to speak? Right here in the front row.
Berg, Josephine County. I just want to point out that we have elected Sheriff Daniel multiple times because we have, as a community, great confidence in him. He started as a Grants Pass police officer. He's been an Oregon State Trooper. He's now our sheriff. And I believe in his stint as a Grants Pass policeman, he was also the SWAT trainer. It's because of his training, his administrative masters, that we have confidence in him. We voted for that levy to supplement the general fund, not replace it. One of the key things that we need for economic development to happen is a feeling of security in our community. And so I feel that it is in the best interest for the community, future economic development of Josephine County, that we go ahead and approve what Sheriff Daniel has asked for so we can go back to 24/7 patrols. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, here in the third row.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Knable, and I am here on behalf of the Three Rivers School District to respectfully request your support in funding an additional school resource officer, SRO, for our 17 school campuses across Josephine County. As you know, our county spans more than 1,600 square miles, a large and geographically diverse region that is larger than the state of Rhode Island. Currently, our entire district is supported by just one SRO. He has done an outstanding job building relationships with students, staff, and community members. However, the demands of covering such a large rural area are beyond what one individual can feasibly sustain, especially given the range of issues that face schools today. In many cases, our current SRO must choose between attending to urgent safety concerns in one part of the county and maintaining a consistent presence in another. This strain has created gaps in coverage that affect not only school safety, but also proactive prevention efforts, including mentoring students, participating in safety drills, and collaborating with school leadership teams on threat assessments and emergency preparedness. The presence of a second SRO would make an immediate and lasting impact on the safety and well-being of our students and staff. It would allow for improved response times, consistent visibility in our buildings, and deeper engagement in the day-to-day operations of our schools. Just as importantly, it would help us continue fostering positive relationships between law enforcement and our youth, something that is particularly vital in our rural communities where resources are often stretched thin. We fully recognize the budgetary constraints that Josephine County faces, especially in areas like ours. However, ensuring safe learning environments for our county's children must remain a top priority. I urge you to consider the unique geographic and logistical challenges our district faces and support the allocation of funding for our second school resource officer in the upcoming sheriff's budget cycle. Thank you for your continued service and your commitment to our families and the children of Josephine County. We welcome the opportunity to speak further if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this item? Yes, sir, over here with the black shirt.
John Knapp, Public Safety Advocate, resident of Josephine County. I wrote this down so I don't get your numbers wrong here. The sheriff has asked for 5 more staff positions than the budget shows. He has stated that those deputies would be the minimum needed to bring the Sheriff's Office Patrol Division back to the 24/7 patrol coverage. If not approved, this would be the second year in a row that the Board of County Commissioners did not allow the sheriff to fulfill promises made to the voters in the Law Enforcement Services District in November of 2023. That means this would be the second year Josephine County owners, property owners such as myself, have been paying for a service that we have not received. I personally pay more than $800 in property taxes specifically for a patrol district. Combined, the taxpayers in Josephine County are taxed approximately $5,459,300 for a service that is yet to be delivered at no fault of the sheriff. The Josephine County's Law Enforcement District was a service agreement between Josephine County to provide the services of this patrol district, dispatch, evidence, and patrol, as well as the necessary labor, supervision, equipment, support, and administrative personnel and supplies to maintain those programs. Failure to provide this service by the county, in my opinion, is a breach of contract. I stepped up and did my part of the contract by paying the property taxes. Now I expect the county to step up and do their part and provide the services. If the county cannot provide the services that the sheriff has requested, the 24/7 patrol coverage, then you need to refund the taxpayers that are paying for a patrol district, the taxes that they're paying for a service that they are not receiving. I ask the commissioners to approve the sheriff's request for the additional funds provided to provide the services that were promised. The funds that were provided by the taxpayers for a specific purpose, and frankly, to provide the number one service that the county government was established to provide.
Thank you. Over here in the red shirt.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Earl, resident of the county. I'm kind of speaking this morning as a member of the Law Enforcement Advisory Committee who's worked really diligently on the issue of public safety the last year on behalf of the citizens and our opportunities. I think we number one support was the idea of the school resource officer. And through our findings and meetings with everyone, that clearly came out number one. The second thing is that I talked to the finance department yesterday, and I'm hoping I got these numbers right. The way the current budget is formulated, 53% of the revenues come from the taxing district, okay? 20% comes just from the general fund. And then the balance comes from, I'm guessing, grants and other kinds of things. This seems out of step with the intent of the original voters approving the taxing district, where it was to be a floor and that the county would participate on kind of an equal basis in funding a law enforcement program. So when you look at one group is providing 53%, and the county is only coming up with 20%, that doesn't seem like that's a good faith balance in the program. So I'm hoping I have my numbers fairly close, okay? Thank you very much. And I just ask you to think about being fair on how we're funding the sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else this morning? Yes, here in the center aisle with the blue shirt.
Good morning. Excuse my voice. I'm getting over some laryngitis. I had the opportunity to work with.
Excuse me, your name and where you approximately live.
Fashing and Grants Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. I had the opportunity to work in the sheriff's office from 2007 to 2012. I was there when the department was decimated with the 65% budget cuts. I'm here to talk about the safety, on behalf of the safety of the citizens of Josephine County and the men and women who risk their lives daily to try and make this a safer place for all of us to live. Until you have tried to respond from Wolf Creek to Cave Junction to back up someone else who is in dire need of safety, you have no idea what these people risk day to day. To cut their budget and not fulfill the promise made to the sheriff so that he can have 24-hour patrol is a disservice to him, the men and women who work there, and the citizens of this county. I urge you, commissioners, to support the sheriff, get the funding where it is needed, and make this county a safer place. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, back wall.
Judy, resident of Josephine County. Once again, I'm probably speaking because I'm not familiar with this, this category. Again, just to clarify myself. I'm not sure right now, it was the sheriff sitting over here, I'm glad he's here, love the sheriff, is that having like a presentation showing where, so it would educate the community. If the sheriff did a presentation showing this is how many people we have on hand right now, these are the kind of calls we get in every day, et cetera. My dad, and I hate to say my dad, but he used to get disgusted sometimes with the department saying they're all at the donut shops. And I haven't seen you guys at any donut shops, so I think we're fine. But what I was going to say also is that, you know, I think to the sheriff in the department, we need to maybe even have a presentation how we can send them on, they won't be sent on unnecessary calls. For instance, people that leave their car unparked or leave it stalling while they're going into the store to get a pack of cigarettes. I'm using that just an example. All I'm saying is that sometimes, because once in front of here, there was, somebody left their motor running in front of the courthouse or close by. This is a problem for people to run out, and then there's your job. You got to do something else that NAB wouldn't plan that day. So I guess my bottom line is that we could do better, and maybe the sheriff can say, what could our job be? How can we be better citizens? How we can protect ourselves? You know, we live in a society that's getting pretty crazy when we look at Chicago and Los Angeles. It's getting pretty crazy, which puts more demand on his job. So showing how we as citizens can do a better job, and that's not taking away the Second Amendment, because that's why I moved here. I moved here because we're really strong on the Second Amendment, except for what's going on in Salem, with that exception. So if there's a way that we as citizens could do a better job, so they won't have to go on these unnecessary calls, and they can do their job and figure in the budget and everything else that needs to be done. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Against the back wall.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Jones, county resident. When Sheriff Daniel was going around for this law enforcement service district to all the town hall meetings, I pretty much followed every one of them. I went there not only to show support for him and for what he was asking, but also to read the room to see what the citizens were thinking and what they were concerned about. One of the things that kept coming up was the old concern about the bait and switch. And I thought, you know, man, we got, you know, some really good patriots on our board of commissioners. They wouldn't do that. And then sure enough, what happened? They took away his general fund support. Not all of it, but a big chunk of it. And that left him unable to do what he had promised everybody he would do when the law enforcement services district was passed. I know each and every one of you have said that you support law enforcement in the service district. You support the law enforcement and you want to serve the citizens and make sure that we're all protected. You know, my parents taught me that if you don't, let me put this back. My parents taught me that if your actions don't match your words, you're just a bag of hot air. So I ask you this, if you do truly support law enforcement like you say you do, that you will give the sheriff what he's asking for. It's an extra $750,000 out of the general fund support, which will get him to where he needs to be to provide the 24 service that he said he would provide us. So I ask that you follow through with that, support the sheriff like you say you do, give him the $750,000 that he's asking for, in addition to the law enforcement service district, and in addition to the 2-point-something million from the general fund. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before I ask if there's anyone else like to speak, this is the law enforcement service district, and I don't want to conflate this with the general fund ask. We'll be talking about the budget later on, and it seems like some people are conflating the two together. So I just want to make sure if you want to speak to this service district, that's what we're talking about right now. So would anybody else like to speak to that? In the back.
Rebecca Anderson, Grants Pass. One of the most important things for you, for the sheriff, for our police, is to provide safety for the people in this community. The people have spoken. They voted to increase the sheriff patrol for personal safety, for the safety of the property. And I do not understand how that vote cannot be honored. And I would urge you to fund the sheriff like the voters have asked you to do. Thank you.
Again, I will remind everybody that we're talking about the service district here, not about the general fund from the budget. Would anyone else this morning like to speak to the service district here for the law enforcement? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board and for some discussion and then possibly entertain a motion. Commissioner Barnett, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you for clarifying. It did get a little confusing. We're talking about the law enforcement district. So I voted for it. I'm for it. And knowing that you guys are so concerned about it, the citizens too, I think that's greatly appreciated. You guys have spoken. I talk to the sheriff a lot. I come from a law enforcement background. I back up other officers in need when they're by themselves and I see they're struggling. That's the kind of stuff I saw under Sheriff Gilbertson out on his own when the budget was cut. We'd back him up because he had nobody. And when you're an officer by yourself on patrol and you have no backup, it's a scary thing. I don't want to return back to that era. I think we're going to move in a positive direction to restore these 24/7 patrols. I think it's time. So the law enforcement district is one piece of it. And we'll get into the budget part of it next. And but I think it's time that we get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Smith?
I truly believe the whole reason that we established governments in the first place is public health and safety. If we as a government cannot fund our public health and safety, I believe we're failing our number one responsibility. So I do support the sheriff. I do support public safety. I think it's my first duty as commissioner is public safety. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the testimony, albeit some of it was not quite on point here, but you will have an opportunity to speak later when we're addressing the general fund for the 25-26 budget. So at this time right now, I will entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-026 in the matter of adoption of the 25-26 budget and making appropriations for the Josephine County Law Enforcement Service District.
I make a motion to approve as stated.
Thank you, and I will second that. Any discussion?
No?
No.
Hearing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Blech?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Right, thank you, everyone, and we will now close this public hearing at 10:51 a.m. Next one is the public hearing for the Josephine County budget for fiscal year 25-26, and we will gavel in to that meeting now at 10:52. And before we get started on that, I would just like to do a shout out and thank everyone who served on the Budget Advisory Committee, as well as the budget officer, specifically Joseph Rice, Mark Kirby, Chad Hansen, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Barnett. I won't thank myself, but I will thank Director Ruth Nelson acting as our budget officer. All right, this will be the resolution for the budget for 2025 approval, and we will start this out with testimony. And this is an opportunity for anybody to have 3 minutes to speak to this item. This is the budget for 2025-2026. Who would like to speak this morning? Against the back wall there.
Morning again, Commissioners. Jim Goodwin. I've been a resident of Josephine County since 1977. Speaking specifically to the recommendation of a general fund budget cut for this coming fiscal year, I've been kind of hard and critical of the board the last couple of weeks, and I would say I'm sorry, but I'm not. This cut, if it goes through and you have a chance, please.
What cut are you talking about? Sorry. You're talking about.
Just to be clear here, I'll be running the meeting here. This is just an opportunity for the public to speak to us. So yes, give him back his time, please. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, my apologies as well.
I was just trying to clarify it. So
she's given you back the time, so please proceed.
The mic is, okay, here we go. Just speaking to the recommended cut from the Budget Committee, I spoke to it last week and how the process was unbelievably chaotic and unlike anything I've ever seen. Part of my goal here coming week after week, as long as I can, is education in the face of what I consider non-transparency by the board. We in Josephine County, now, when have you ever heard this in government? We have been running a general fund budget surplus in this county for more than a decade. If I had my crayons and some construction paper behind me, I could do a graph that shows that fund balance, the general fund balance and the future expenditure fund, reserve for future expenses, growing every single year. So is that the time to make draconian cuts across the board to every general fund department? No, I would recommend this. Fund the general fund departments as they ask, get halfway through the year. If the budgetary boogeyman jumps out of the closet and grabs you like you keep saying it's going to, make an adjustment then. You have a very competent finance director, budget officer, has been through this many, many times. This is not in any way rocket science, but it is funding basic state mandated general fund services at a level that the public asks for. How do you know the public asks for it? Well, you have to go out and ask. You have to do a critical analysis of what it takes to perform these state mandated functions. If it gets to the point where you can't perform the state mandated functions, then you go to the state and say, hey, this is an unfunded mandate. Guess what? We can't do it. Then you have the state coming in, and that's a whole nother story right there. I'll just close with this. I asked last week, if you do go forward with a general fund cut, I ask that the board lead by example and take a cut equivalent to that to your salaries. If it's the 12%, do 12%. If it's less than that, do less than that. I think it's only right that you lead by example and feel a little bit of the pain that some of the other folks will feel when they're in the unemployment line. Thank you.
Thank you. Right here in the front row.
Berg,
Can we give that a pause for a second? I'm sorry. We've got a little technical issue right here. Can you reset her clock? Okay, we're all set here. Okay, my apologies. We've had some weird stuff going here through the speakers, so
It's the Fitzadas.
please
Berg,
go ahead.
Josephine County. I want to reiterate that we, the people, the majority voted for a law enforcement service district to supplement the general fund. We want 24/7 patrol. That's a key component for future economic development to the entirety of Josephine County. And I have a question that I want to ask that I was a bit unclear of. We have 1.5 years to be able to run the extension district. If there's a pause in collecting that levy, will there have to be a pause in service? Or are you going to put a Band-Aid, a financial Band-Aid, if we do it right, which we intend to, so we can continue with service? So my concern is what happens in that gap? Are you guys going to be the Band-Aid? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this morning? Yes, sir, in the green, correction, red shirt.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'll just say I kind of jumped the gun last time around. Now I get it. Okay. Actually, I have a yellow shirt underneath this, so I could take the red off and go with caution. But once again, I'd just like to plead the ratios, okay, that right now the taxing district is providing 53% of supporting the sheriff, and the balance coming out of the general fund, which I think we're talking about now, is only 20%. It seems to me like common sense would say that there should be a balance between the two funding sources. So thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you, sir. I believe over here in the, short sleeved black shirt.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jay Meredith, Josephine County. I sent some of this testimony to you last weekend. I hope that you had a chance to take a look at it. I only heard back from Commissioner Smith that acknowledged that he received it. So the status of the general fund, it was very concerning to me to watch the Budget Committee discussions because there were some discussions about why you needed to cut the resources that are given to different departments that rely on general fund resources. There is no financial need to make those cuts this year or for the foreseeable future. Nobody can look 5-10 years out and be super accurate, but for the foreseeable future, the next few years, there's no reason to make any cuts at this point. There is a starting balance for your general fund of 18 million, which is several million higher than where it really needs to be. So we have saved for a rainy day if we run into some challenging financial circumstances in the next few years. We don't need to keep growing that general fund balance. There's a strong surplus. When you started the budget committee discussions, next year's surplus, it was about at least $1.2 million. So you can reverse all of those cuts that the budget committee made to general fund programs. You can grant the sheriff everything he asked for, and you will still have a surplus next year. That's a really good place to be. And so I hope the commissioners will consider reversing all of those general fund cuts. But so to talk briefly on a couple of them, starting with the sheriff, it's really important that he gets all 5 of the additional staff members that he requested. That's, as I understand, that's 2 detectives, 2 deputies, and 1 school resource officer. We really need that 1 additional school resource officer to cover all those county schools. The Veteran Service Office, if you go back and watch last year's budget meetings, you'll see dozens of veterans show up to protest the cuts that were proposed last year. Those cuts that were proposed last year were smaller than the cuts proposed this year. And last year, the budget committee and commissioners reversed those cuts. I hope you'll do the same this year. The Veteran Service Office really needs the same budget that they had this fiscal year. And the Treasurer's Office is another key one. The treasurer's got a lot of responsibilities, including safely and prudently investing all the cash resources for not just Josephine County, but for all the tax agencies that you collect taxes for. The difference between doing a good job and doing a great job can make up hundreds of thousands of dollars of extra income for Josephine County and all those other agencies. So please don't cut the treasurer's office either, and reverse all of those cuts, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak against the back wall in orange?
Yeah, Trent Toker, Grants Pass. Just want to talk about a couple things real quick. I want to touch on something you said before, Commissioner Barnett, is when you give something back to somebody, you don't give it back all the way. And so what I mean by that is we looked at taking all of the taxing away for the extension service and giving them 0. And so if you tax it at its fullest, I think it's a 0.0459. So if you're not going to give them the full 0.0459, and I know it's passed, I just would like to make a point here that, you know, you could give them a 0.0127, and that might fill a gap going into the 26-27 year. As far as the sheriff department goes, my kids are going to be Three Rivers School District kids. The importance of that department, and with us living out on 199, like, we need him and what he does. I vote for him every year. He's been a part of this community in multiple facets, and just what he does is unmatched by a lot of people around here. And I trust his decision making. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this morning? It's right here in the 3rd row.
Jessica Falconhagen. I'm a principal at Fort Vinoy Elementary and also Three Rivers School District Safety Coordinator. I just want to reiterate what my colleague Jessica Knable said. The importance of having that second SRO in our school district is massive. The last 5 years, I've worked extensively with Josephine County Sheriff's Department and our school resource officer to increase the security at our schools and the presence of officers and the relationship between the two. And it's hard for one person. It is a massive school district over an extensive area, as we all know. And it's a big burden to put on one school resource officer. And so we highly encourage you to take into consideration the increased amount of safety that a second school resource officer would bring to our school district. And again, that liaison between the community, the students, the schools, and definitely the sheriff's department. So I've sat in on a few other committee meetings and things like that just to reiterate the importance of it. And as others have said before, just driving from one end to the other for a call or a crisis, a threat assessment, whatever those may be, is very difficult for one to do. So again, we would love your support for the Three Rivers School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this morning in regards to the budget? Yes, right here on the fifth row.
Vicki, Palmerton, Josephine County. You're asking the sheriff to do an impossible job without funding. I wasn't quite clear in the beginning of the meeting. It seemed to devolve into the Chris Barnett show. You say a whole lot of stuff without saying things, to the point that the other commissioners don't even know what you're saying, and you have to clarify. The fact that you are negotiating these things, you have breached a contract, you are not fulfilling promises that were made to these citizens. The money is there. You haven't been clear about things except for that we need to save for a rainy day. I have no confidence in the fact that you put Chris Barnett in charge of negotiating with any department when it comes to funding. We've seen what the Supreme Court of Oregon has said about how he does business, and it's appalling to me. I don't know why there aren't straight numbers for the constituents to know.
Can I remind you that we're talking about the budget here?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. But you are not keeping your commitment as far as who's getting funding, who's not. We're going to put this, we're not going to fund with taxes the 4-H. We're not going to give the sheriff any money. That's beyond stupid. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to live out in the county right now. You don't have a chance at all. If you have an abusive husband or an abusive boyfriend and something's going on, do you think you're going to get help in time? No, you're not. Because you want to cut all the departments, give yourselves a raise, but we cannot fund the sheriff. It would be nice if you could make sense of that and explain it in a non-bombastic way so that your constituents could understand how you justify why that's not in our budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this morning? Against the back wall, blue shirt.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Tom Peaty. I'm a resident of Josephine County, and I'm here to speak specifically to the issue of funding for the Veteran Service Office. I grew up in Southern Oregon, in Applegate. I graduated from Grants Pass High School in '67. I joined the Navy in '69 and served 9 years active duty as a naval air crewman. I served in Vietnam, and I was exposed to Agent Orange and other issues there. I'm also a VFW post commander and a district adjutant for Southern Oregon. I'm also a driver for the DAV, taking veterans to their medical appointments in White City, in the clinic here in Grants Pass. I've been doing that for 15 years here in Josephine County. So I have a lot of knowledge about veteran issues. But the reason I'm here is because I've developed a couple of medical issues that may qualify me for disability benefits. I've never before filed, but I did 6 months ago with help from the VSO office here. They did a great job of kind of stepping me through what I needed to do and take the steps necessary to submit the claim. My claim is not resolved yet, but they're still working with me. And what I know is there's a lot of veterans in this county that need help with a variety of issues, including disability claims. And the VSO is a useful resource for those veterans. So I'm asking you to approve the funding for the VSO. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak this morning? Right here in the fifth row.
Bill Hunker, Merlin, Oregon. I watched the entire budget, 2.5 hours. It was abominable. And what I realized was that there was no prioritizing. There was no reasoning on the 15% that you did across the board. You just did it and said, you know, there's problems and it'll be hard. But one of the main offices that uses general funds is the commissioner's office. You not only exempted the commissioner's office out of the 15%, you ended up giving yourself a 3% raise. I can't understand that. You end up taking every other thing, not prioritizing in any way, and saying, well, 15%. I know it'll be hard, guys, but you know, that's what you got to do. Well, that's what you've got to do. Take that 15% out of the commissioner's budget. You owe that to the public because you're asking all your departments to do that without any, Ron, I think you said it, you wanted to see the impact. You wanted to see the impact on each of the departments before you made that decision. And I don't know, maybe you've got your impact now and you know, but the public certainly did not see any impact to your office. And indeed, you gave yourself a 3% raise. And by the way, took a 7% raise, again, away from the sheriff at the same time. It was a zoo, and I was sad to see it. But I think that you told the public what you're about because you exempted yourselves and you hit everybody else. So work it out.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak this morning? Yes, sir, in the corner. Sure.
Thank you, Commissioners. Scott Haddam here on behalf of our combined Community Justice Department. I was one of the departments that did not get the opportunity to present at the budget hearing, and I've had conversations with the three of you gentlemen this week, and I was asked to come here and give a brief kind of synopsis for my justification behind this ask. But just up front, I would respectfully request that Community Justice, particularly our Juvenile Justice Division, which asks for a fund, a portion of the general fund, be included in the exempt departments under that public safety umbrella. What I heard at the budget hearing was that there was an emphasis placed on public safety. And that was evidenced by the fact the Sheriff's Department as well as the District Attorney's Office were exempted from the 12% cut to all general fund asks. I had a conversation with each of you this week, and what I presented to you all is the Juvenile Department initially presented a budget that had a total reduction of approximately $455,648. That was realized through two kind of primary areas: personnel reductions, as well as the CAC, which traditionally was under the Juvenile Department, being transferred to a nonprofit status. With that, we have taken ourselves not to the level of want, or not to the level of need, but to the level of, not to the level of want, but to the level of need. The 12% cut, if we go that route, would render us at a point where we'd be having approximately 50% greater supervision caseloads for all of our juvenile POs. It would take us to a place where we can no longer respond to the schools. It would put us in a spot where we can no longer respond to community safety direct threat issues, or at least drastically reduce that capacity. Of note, one thing that we do know based on evidence-based practices is that early intervention in the criminal offending cycle gives us our best chance of stopping long-term criminal activity, right? So a lot of the assessments we use on the adult side have a built-in component that measures what was the age and the frequency where the criminal offending began. If we identify somebody who engages in criminal activity at a substantial volume prior to the age of 15, we call that conduct disorder. Conduct disorder finds its way into a bulk of assessments across all offending domains within the criminal justice system. So with all of that in mind, I would ask that this board formally exempt the juvenile department and their general fund ask from that 12% cut. You would recognize that we are a vital part of public safety for all of Josephine County, that we provide a service that is directly in response to reducing future criminality. So with that, I generally talk for a lot longer because I have a line item, but I took my 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak this morning to the budget 2025-26? Okay, seeing none, I will bring this back to the board for deliberation. And before we do that, I want to point out a few things. I don't encourage that we respond to the people that spoke here unless you think it is important. I want to remind my colleagues here that we do have an impact sheet that was presented to us by Finance that shows the impact of different cuts to departments, and a very good summary, and I appreciate that a lot. And with that, I will like to start a discussion on what this board may want to do moving forward with the budget. So either of my colleagues, if you'd like to start.
Actually, I would like to make a motion at this time.
I'd like to discuss first.
We can discuss after the motion if it gets a second.
Okay, the chair recognizes the motion. So if Commissioner Smith, you would like to make a motion.
I move that we approve the resolution 2025-2027 in the matter of adopting the 2025-26 budget and making appropriations with the following amendments. Reduce the general fund allocation reduction from 12 to 0, and that we also increase the sheriff's authority expenditures to the $774,300 that he wanted, the full 5 FTE, and that's my motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, motion dies of a second. Commissioner Barnett, you said that you would like to commence with some discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted some discussion on this. We've listened to everybody. I mean, people have been in our office emails talking to the directors and everybody within the county. And I just feel, after meeting with the sheriff many times, it's time to get our sheriff's office to 24/7 patrols. And in order to do this, I feel balancing the budget by keeping us in the green and be sustainable for the future, that we can only consider a small budget cut to some departments and keep the others 100%. I've talked to departments having concerns over the budget committee's recommendation of 12% cut. And although that was suggested from the recommendations last week, and found out that that would not keep operations going in a positive direction. I do have a proposal cutting only certain departments a certain percent. It would allow departments to tighten their belts just a little bit and not drastically, and to help fund our sheriff's department to get him to 24/7 patrols, and fund 2 detectives, a school resource officer, and talking to the sheriff, he can do it with this budget. I do feel that also that this will fulfill the public's need for law enforcement if we can come to an agreement today. We can achieve the 24/7 patrols, tighten our budget slightly, put money into the general fund. And Director Nelson, thank you for running these scenarios for me, because I wanted to know, and I want to keep us in the green, not the red. And when you're up here trying to balance a budget, you always want to be in the green. And my wife, she's a banker, so I understand keeping it in the green and still funding operations as necessary. The 12% just won't do it properly, but I just want to let everybody know, I think there's a way that we can come as a board today to do that. And with that, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, the chair recognizes and gives you the opportunity.
So I move to approve resolution number 2025-2027 in the matter of adoption of the 2025-26 budget and making appropriations with the following amendments. Reduce the general fund allocation reduction from 12% to 5%. Exempt juvenile from the general fund allocation reduction. Exempt veterans, the VSO office, from the general fund allocation reduction. Reallocate the Title I road dollars from Public Works to the sheriff. Increase the sheriff's authorized expenditure by $503,200. That will get him to 24/7 patrols. And if he needs an additional, we can do a supplemental. And that is my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Discussion.
I really believe that public safety is our number one priority as elected officials. So I fully believe that we need to support our sheriff 100%. Without a safe society and a safe community, we will not have economic development. We will not have people living here. They'll want to move to some other place. Take a look. Do you want to move to Portland or Seattle? I think not. I think it's very important that we fully fund the sheriff's department. I don't think our smaller departments like Treasury can handle even a 5% cut. I think that, and I'm really upset because when we authorize the elected officials compensation, the additional raise for elected officials, I gotta admit, I was under a misconception that we would be able to change that. But we don't have the authority to change that afterwards. I would have taken no increase in salary. I don't need it. I'm not here for the money. I'm here to serve the people. And I think the best way we can serve the people is by listening to them. And unequivocally, we've heard people want public safety number one. So, I mean, I second this motion simply because it gives us something in the right direction. I don't want to leave this room without getting something accomplished in a positive nature. That is the reason I'm seconding this motion. I prefer not to have any cuts. I prefer to fully fund the sheriff with his 5 FTE, but I'll take what I can get. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Barnett.
I'd like to amend my motion. I just want to be clear that we have everything correctly according to the sheet that I have from Director Nelson. This works and keeps us in the green, but I want, since this is so important, I want to make sure it's clarified that the exemptions on the 5% cut would not, or any cuts wouldn't affect the district attorney, the sheriff, court facilities, juvenile, general government, veteran service office, payroll reserve load, the property reserve fund. Just wanted to clarify that they are exempt from any of the 5%.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Directors Nelson.
Just wanted to clarify the amendment to increase the sheriff's authorized expenditure by the $503,200 and additional 3 FTE. Was that the intention?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Ms. Nelson.
In there.
Yes.
Dr. Nelson, question for you. Is that also authorizing his money for out of the roads fund?
As stated by Commissioner Barnett, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, my opportunity to respond. I think that the work that the Budget Committee did, the 12% is more in line with my thinking. I know it's always said that why do we need to make these cuts? Why do we need more surplus? I know going back in history, if we look back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when this county was flush with money, everybody said, why would we need to save any money for a rainy day? It's never going to happen. I think it's our duty to look forward to the future and always try to build that general fund as much as we can. However, I am a reasonable person. I think that a compromise of 5% is within the realm of something that I could go with and agree to, especially exempting out juvenile and the veterans. That seems reasonable to me. What I would like to point out is something that I'm not terribly excited about is the Title I road dollars. I think from lack of a better way to describe it, but to continuously rob that money from another department is just not right. Although I understand the sheriff needs this money, but at the same time, stealing it essentially from one department like has been done in the past, I don't think is the right way to go. My thoughts are if we could remove that from the motion, that is something I could get behind, whereas the increase to sheriff's authorized expenditure would be 307,000 and I believe 2 FTEs as opposed to the 503,000 and 3 FTEs. Yes, sir. Commissioner Smith.
I've for a long time been one that wanted detectives back in the sheriff's department. I think it's ultimately important because we have a lot of property crime that he just doesn't have the manpower to investigate or prosecute. I think that's a huge issue for a lot of people, especially in the rural communities where they're getting robbed. They have no recourse. And sometimes the sheriff can't even go out and take notice of what's happened. So I think 2 detectives is important. It's good to have 1, but 2 working as a team are much better. They're almost like having tripling your ability. So I really want to see 2 detectives in that department. I think it's much smarter, and I think the sheriff could have a good detectives department. Again, been a while, Sheriff, since we had a detectives in that department. It's something we really need. So I really want to see 2 detectives in there and a school officer. We can get that with the motion we passed.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that as the budget officer's proposed budget already includes an increase of 2.5 FTEs. So it's not that there isn't an increase in there. My suggestion is that we grant him what is proposed in the original proposal. And then also keep in mind last year's budget, is my understanding that the sheriff was budgeted more money than he was able to use and was unable to hire all the staff that he proposed that he needed. So I would just like to throw that out there.
I know that whatever surplus he doesn't use or any department goes back into the general fund, correct?
Yes, correct.
Correct? Okay.
All right, any more discussion?
No.
Nope.
All right, please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Blech?
No.
Motion carries 2 to 1.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We'll move on to the agenda. And we are... Okay, next item is the resolution 25-028 in the matter of levying the ad valorem property tax rates and local option levy taxes for Josephine County, Oregon for fiscal year 25-26. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-028.
I'll make that motion to approve resolution 2025-028.
And I will second that. Any discussion?
No.
No.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Blech?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, next up is the resolution 2025. This is a matter of adopting the supplemental budget and making appropriations and budget adjustments for fiscal year 24-25. So this time I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-029.
I'll make a motion to approve as stated.
And I will second. Any discussion?
No?
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett,
Yes.
Commissioner Blech,
Yes.
motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, everyone. And at this time, we will close the public hearing at 11:29. Next on the agenda is administrative actions and consideration of, and this is the acceptance of special district election results. This is for the Josephine County Rural Fire Protection District and the Merlin North Valley Sanitary District. And then we also have the county employee transfers to State of Oregon Department of Environmental Quality intergovernmental agreement. At this time, you'll have an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. And this would be for any subject, any topic. So whoever would like to speak this morning, please, front row.
Deb Berg, Josephine County. I just want to ask the question and hopefully get it answered. You said there's enough money in the extension account for 1.5 years. Hopefully we're going to do it right. What happens in it? Will there be a financial Band-Aid between any budgetary gaps that would occur without passing the tax levy as well today? I just want to know that there's going to be the ability, because our goal is to do it right. What, 1.5 years, where does that budget gap get covered? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak this morning to any subject matter? Okay, looking once, twice, back row. We are on 8. Any subject.
Judy resident of Josephine County. Since it's on any subject, I want to encourage you that we're having our 8th year of the reading of the Declaration of Independence. And this is so important. I feel like we need to get the why. We've lost it in our country, why we have our declaration, what our founding fathers did, you know, what the British did and how they got their homes burned down. They were in the woods, you know, they just, a lot of terror going on during that time. But our founding fathers were brave enough to put their name and say to heck with King George. So because of that and all the stuff they went through, we have such freedoms here today to speak on things that we don't agree with the county and all sorts of things. So it's a wonderful opportunity. The declaration is short, but powerful. It gives us our why we're here. The whole nation should be saying, why are we here on the 4th? And not just for fireworks in the evening or the hamburgers and the hot dogs at 4, whatever. So I would encourage any of you, this is our 8th year that we're doing this. And I want to thank you, Mr. Barnett, because you said you've got some sound equipment I can talk to you about later. Yep. Sometime tomorrow, whatever. And so it's 45 minutes. It'll be on the courthouse steps here. We'll have awnings, so there'll be plenty of shade, and we'll have some music and everything. So I just encourage you, if you're going to be around town, that this is it's a 3-day weekend, so a lot of people will be gone. But I so encourage you. We'll have 6 speakers, and they're all pretty wonderful and dynamic. And we'll have a Veterans Day poem to know what the veterans have done for us, which is wonderful because we're talking about the veterans this morning. So if you're going to be in town, I would encourage you for that 45-minute morning thing that we're having from 11 to 11:45. And I'm a pretty much straight 45 minutes means it's going to be 45 minutes. And we'll have a lot of chairs out there, but there's shade out there, and you can bring your own chairs if you prefer, you know, whatever. We kind of accommodate. But last year we had about 100 people show up. So it was a really pretty good, wonderful crowd. So let's get the why in place, and then that'll keep our country in for another 100 years for our grandkids. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Yeah, right here in the second to last row.
Julie Costner, Josephine County. I'd just like to thank Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Barnett for your efforts in revising the recommendations from the Budget Committee. I feel there was some lack of knowledge by that committee, having attended those meetings, and maybe a lack of understanding of the budget. And a comment made to me that, you know, they felt ambushed by the sheriff, and I believe that's because they didn't understand what the budget already said. So I appreciate your alternative motion and the changes that you made to support us in our county. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Orange shirt in the back.
Trent Toker here in Josephine County. I know there's an opportunity here in a little bit to go over and review the things we said. And I also think that it doesn't mean that you can't amend or make a motion to carry an amendment, that like you can set that tax levy for the extension. And like you said before, you're not going to give it back all in one piece. But at the same time, you could set it at 0 and still have the tax on, or you can set it at its fullest. But what I'm asking is, it's going to be a real big blow when something runs out and it's positive. So what I mean by that, when we fill a void before the next budget committee meeting next year, there's going to be a gap where there's a potential fall off. And I'm wondering where that money's going to come from to carry it through to the next budget meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, twice? Thank you, everyone. I'll bring this back to the board, and this is an opportunity for the commissioners to respond. Commissioner Smith?
No comment at this time. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Commissioner Barnett?
Judy, she's so passionate about that 4th of July event. Thank you. I was invited to it last year. It was amazing. So everybody's invited to that. So thank you, Judy, for leading that. Julie Costner, thank you. We don't hear very many thank yous, and we're trying to do the best thing possible that we're elected to do. It's hard. It is tough. It's not for everybody. And I really appreciate you acknowledging that we're trying to give and take where needed. And we learn from it. So nothing's perfect until you go through it. This is our first time going through it. And I think all of my colleagues here have worked their butts off trying to do the best thing for the taxpayers. We get hit a lot. You hear the negative comments. They're unnecessary. We want to be productive, and we are, and we've got a good board up here. So thank you, Julie, for acknowledging that. Appreciate that. Trent, you know, we are easing back into this program. I'm for it, like I said. And I think that right now we are easing back into it. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We just don't know. So as we go through it, then we can adjust as necessary. But until we're there, everything's fine. And that's the way we just got to look at it for now. Just like the sheriff's budget and stuff. If he doesn't use all that budget, he puts it back into the general fund. And I expect him to do that, just like every other department, to be a good steward of their money, you know? So I think it just puts us on notice that when you're given a certain amount of money, you stretch that as best as you can. And I think that the ask that the 4-H and OSU extension were asking for was appropriate. They know it's within their means. You can't give them too much. They won't be able to fulfill that obligation. So we want to give them a chance to do it easily. And that's what they wanted. Okay. But thank you, Trent, for your concern. And that's all I have, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing in response. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to accept the special district election results from the Josephine County Rural Fire Protection District and the Merlin North Valley Sanitary District.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion?
Oh,
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Blech?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the county employee transfer to the State of Oregon Department of Environmental Quality Intergovernmental Agreement.
I'll make a motion as stated.
Second it.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Oh,
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Blech?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, next is the approval of the consent calendar. This is the minutes, where as of the draft minutes are available for viewing at the board's office. That includes the Budget Committee meeting continued from June the 9th, 2025, and the weekly business session from June the 12th, 2025. I will entertain a motion now to approve the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
And I,
Go ahead.
and I will second. Any discussion?
No?
No.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Blech?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Item number 12, this is other matters. This is where the commissioners may introduce other matters for consideration of the entire board. Commissioner Smith?
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnett?
No, I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I do have one item of concern. This is for next week's weekly business session. We will not have a quorum due to attendance, and therefore we will cancel next Thursday's weekly business session. Okay, next up is announcements. This is an opportunity for commissioners to discuss any topic of interest to the general public. Commissioner Smith?
Go out and enjoy the nice weather while we got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnett?
I just want to thank my colleagues here. It's been great working together, our first budget together. And I just think that I've seen everybody work their butts off, just like I said earlier. So I just want to publicly thank you guys for being professionals. So thank you for that. And our staff, our board staff as well. She's been working really hard over there, Cassie. So thank you so much and now we got some help. So yes, but thank you for holding that all together. And thank you for the public for entrusting into us to do the best decision possible. Nothing's 100% perfect for everybody. We know that. But I think weighing everything out to the best way possible is the way to go. So thank you, public, for giving us an opportunity to do the best job we can for you. And with that, have a positive day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to point out that I would like to encourage the citizens to participate in every level of government. I was quite shocked that I didn't get as much interest in this budget process directed towards me as I thought I would. This is my first time. And just like Commissioner Barnett, I want to thank my colleagues here for the hard work that they've done, as well as staff and the Budget Advisory Committee. 337 pages of that budget. Yeah, that was a good document. Okay, before we leave, I just like to point out one thing. I will choose to be happy today, not because it's easy, but because it will make me feel good today. So with that, it is 11:41, and we will adjourn today's meeting. Thank you, everyone. Be safe going home.